Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. This is Meera here. In every family, we have the custom of remembering our ancestors at least once a year. Similarly, our great Desha Bharata is no different. This is also like our family. There are hundreds and thousands of freedom fighters who have sacrificed their lives for the freedom that we are enjoying today. And Uttishta Bharata is doing a phenomenal job where it gives a platform for us to talk about those freedom fighters at least on their birthdays and also spread the message. The month of September happens to be a holy month when so many freedom fighters are born, and today is the first freedom fighter for this month. So let us begin. So there are some fathers who are very strict, always seen with a stick. There are some fathers who are very soft-spoken. So can we say that the soft-spoken fathers are more loving and caring towards the children than the strict fathers? Absolutely not. Two different dimensions. Both are genuine ways of showing, expressing the love and care for the children. And then there is a third category where the fathers, they sacrifice so much for the children and the family and they remain quiet. In fact, many a times the family members also don't know how much the father has sacrificed or what he has done. These categories, they are not only applicable for individual families but for the entire nation. Today we are going to talk about one such revolutionary belonging to the third category who has sacrificed so much for the people around him and for the freedom struggle, and yet he is categorized as unsung. So he is none other than V.O. Chidambaram Pillai from Tamil Nadu. V.O. Chidambaram Pillai, who was he? Why was he called Kappaloti Tamilan, which literally translates to Tamilian who drove the ship? Did he actually drove the ship to gain the title? So before even we talk about his life, let us talk about three bitter truths about Chidambaram Pillai. The first one, Chidambaram Pillai was born rich, he lived rich, and yet he died poor in utter poverty, leaving nothing for his family members. Second thing, today, stage after stage, we talk about the praise of Chidambaram Pillai, Kappaloti Tamilan, Chekkalutha Chemmal. But when he came out of the jail, there was not even a single person to even receive him or greet him. The third one, if you go to Tamil Nadu today, you cannot find a place without VOC nameplate. VOC Nagar, VOC Street, VOC Colony. But in real life, when he was chased out of his own hometown, Tuticorin, there was nobody to question or oppose or protest the decision. So V.O. Chidambaram Pillai was born on 5th September 1872 in Ottappidaram in Tuticorin to Paramai Ammal and Ulaganathan Pillai. Ulaganathan Pillai was a lawyer. The family was very rich and prosperous and influential as well. Let me give you an example. Chidambaram Pillai was learning Tamil from a taluk officer named Krishnan. Krishnan got transferred, but Ulaganathan Pillai did not arrange for another teacher. He, along with his villagers, he built a school actually, and then he got teachers to the school so that not only his son, other children also can benefit. So right from his early age, Chidambaram Pillai, he was very proficient in both Tamil as well as in English. He listened to a lot of stories about Ramayana, Mahabharata and about Shiva stories from his grandparents as well as his teachers. So the religious and cultural values they were instilled in him right from his young age. After his studies, he went on to work as a clerk in the taluk office before his father sent him to Trichy to study law. This was in the year 1895. After completing his studies, he became a lawyer just like his father, but there was a huge difference. The father always represented rich and affluent people and he earned a lot of money. Chidambaram Pillai, he always fought for the poor and the oppressed section of the people and he won many hearts. There was a huge fan following for Chidambaram Pillai both in Tirunelveli and Tuticorin districts. Once when he was in Chennai, he met Ramakrishnananda, a disciple of Swami Vivekananda who urged him and encouraged him to do something for the nation. That is where he met another great revolutionary, Mahakavi Subramanya Bharati. They were to become lifelong friends. He also met Subramanya Shiva, who later became partner in all his revolutionary activities. Following the partition of Bengal in 1905, Chidambaram Pillai officially entered into politics by joining Indian National Congress. taking a hardliner extremist stance. Why not? Because it comes as a no wonder because he was an ardent disciple and follower of Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Whatever Tilak Maharaj would organize dharna, movement, or protest in the north, Pillai would stage the same thing in the south in Tirunelveli and Tuticorin district. He acted as an echo of Tilak Maharaj. In fact, Chidambaram Pillai, Subramanya Bharati, and Subramanya Shiva, they went around Tamil Nadu to nook and corners like revolutionary trinity, giving fiery, inspiring speeches arousing the feelings of the people against the British rule. They stressed the importance of Swarajya, Swadeshi, and national education. Tuticorin happens to be the coastal area. British India Steam Navigation Company was the only one in operation. Somehow in 1906, they took a decision that henceforth they will not accept or transport any of the goods manufactured by the Indian companies. That is when Chidambaram Pillai took a stand. He decided that it was high time we have our own steam navigation company, Swadeshi Steam Navigation Company. People around him, including rich and company owners too, they were taken aback, stupefied, shocked. They said, establishing a shipping company and that too against the British? How is it possible? It was going to cost in lakhs. That is when Chidambaram Pillai seemed to have stated, why not? When the foreigners who can travel thousands and thousands of miles and reach Tuticorin and successfully establish and run a shipping company, people here belonging to Tuticorin who are native to shipping industry, why can't we? If we stand united, anything and everything is possible. Today we are talking about share market, selling and buying shares. I am talking about 1900s when Chidambaram Pillai estimated his capital required for his company as 10 lakhs. So he came up with 40,000 shares with the face value of 25. He went around the country, he contacted so many people and he collected money for his shipping company. So when he left Tuticorin to Mumbai to buy ships, he took an oath and vowed in front of the public stating that if I come back, I will come back with a ship, otherwise I will perish in the sea. But by God's grace, he not only collected money for one ship but also for two ships. So SS Galileo and SS Lavo, they started their operations to Ceylon regularly. The British India Steam Navigation Company, they resorted to all kinds of tactics like reducing the fare and all that, but nothing could do anything to the Swadeshi company. They underestimated the Indian venture, that they thought that it would all fall apart crumble down like a pack of cards. But as time went by, the Swadeshi Steam Navigation Company became a formidable competitor to the British India Company. So this was a huge breakthrough and a pride factor not only for Tamil Nadu but also for the entire country, because it put a break to the British monopoly in the shipping industry. Chidambaram Pillai was also a spokesperson and a negotiator for the working class and the employees of many companies. So one such company was Coral Mills. When the employees of the Coral Mill Company, they protested against low wages and harsh working conditions, negotiations happened between Chidambaram Pillai and the company owners which did not materialize, so the employees went on indefinite strike. But during the strike time, the families were affected. They did not have anything to eat. That is when Chidambaram Pillai invited all the members of the families to Dharma Sangam, and he ensured that they were all well fed. In fact, he had to sell some of his properties which he did not even think twice. He said it was very important that the workers and the family members should never suffer due to hunger. They were well fed, not for 1 or 2 days, but till the strike period was over. So at the end of it, the company owners, they had to yield to the demand of the workers. So after 9 days, the factory resumed its normal operation and all the workers, they went back to work. This was not the end of it, because the victory of Coral Mill strike gave encouragement to the employees of other European companies who followed the same path to get their demands fulfilled. The mass support and the Swadeshi Steam Navigation Company gave sleepless nights to the British officials. The name and fame of Chidambaram Pillai was growing in leaps and bounds and they didn't know how to stop it. They were waiting for an opportunity to put him down, which showed itself in the year 1908. So in 1908, Chidambaram Pillai wanted to organize a huge rally to celebrate the release of Bipin Chandra Pal from the jail, which was vehemently opposed by the British officials. It was Officer Winch who called both Chidambaram Pillai as well as Subramanya Shiva to his office. He expressed concern over the revolutionary activities and ordered them to stop everything immediately. The duo refused and they were immediately arrested on sedition charges. So this was followed by a huge agitations and riots in Tirunelveli and Tuticorin districts and nearby areas. All the schools, colleges, institutions, they were all shut down and it was chaotic everywhere. So that is when the then district collector, General Ash, ruthless, heartless, he gave an order for shoot at sight. Consequently, four innocent civilians were they were dead, and there were so many of them they were injured. So there was a trial. Subramanya Shiva was handed 10 years of jail time, and V.O. Chidambaram Pillai was given 2 life terms totaling to 40 years of imprisonment. Chidambaram Pillai was taken to Coimbatore jail followed by Kannanur jail where he was given the most inhumane treatment. So he had to break stones. Instead of the bulls, he was yoked and forced to extract huge amount of oil every day from the oil press, and that too under the cruel hot sun. All these things took a huge toll on his health and it started deteriorating. So after repeated appeals by Pillai as well as his revolutionary friends, the British had to yield and they revised the punishment to 4 years of jail time and 6 years of exile time after the release. So finally Chidambaram Pillai was released in December 1912. When he was taken to the prison, there were hundreds of people who cried, protested, agitated against the judgment. But when he was coming out of the jail, it was utter silence, because there was not a single person who was waiting to greet him or to receive him. So when he was walking alone to his house, a stranger who was wrapped in a shawl, he approached Chidambaram Pillai. So, but Chidambaram Pillai unfortunately could not recognize him. He said, "The voice seemed very familiar, but I beg you to tell me who you are because I am not able to recollect or recognize you." That is when the friend, he broke out emotionally and he said, "Have I become that hideous that even my soulmate, my close friend, Chidambaram Pillai could not recognize me? So I am Subramanya Shiva." And unfortunately, leprosy had eaten that person completely. So when he got to know who the person was, Pillai ran towards him to embrace him. But he ran away from him, stating that, "I do not want in any way you to be affected because of leprosy." That is, you know what Pillai said? He said, "The leprosy that has affected my close friend, my dear friend, let it affect me also. But I am not going to go without hugging you." He ran towards him and then he embraced him to his heart's content. That was Chidambaram Pillai. That was the importance and the feelings that he had towards Subramanya Shiva. So he went home only to find out that the family was in utter poverty because most of the wealth and property were spent in legal defense. His younger brother had become lunatic. He lost his mental balance when he heard about the 40 years of sentence. And to his dismay, his Swadeshi company was liquidated in 1911 and all the ships were auctioned and sold to his competitor companies. His license to practice law was revoked and he could not even enter into Tirunelveli district because of the exile. So as a family with his wife and 2 children, he had to forced to settle in Chennai where he had to run provision stores and sell kerosene for his survival. 2 years later, he went to Coimbatore and he worked as a bank manager, but it was not to his satisfaction. Then after appeals, somehow he got his law license restored and he started practicing as a pleader. Whatever he did, nothing could help the dire financial situation that they were facing. They were in utter poverty, so much so that the records state that Chidambaram Pillai had to sell his law books for the survival. So also it is interesting to note that there looks like there have been a very close association, good amount of association between Gandhiji and Chidambaram Pillai. So at that time, between 1915 and 1920, at that time Gandhiji had not earned the title Mahatma. He was in South Africa and looks like he had collected money for Chidambaram Pillai and he had sent it. But for some reason, Pillai had not received it. So many a times they have tried to work together, but unfortunately they had huge appreciation and respect towards each other, but they could not function under one roof because of the ideological differences. So even though the situation was so pathetic and bad, Chidambaram Pillai tried to stay active socially. He established many welfare associations for the laborers. In 1929, he moved to Tuticorin, and according to the records, looks like his political career took a back seat and he started working on his literary works. So that is when he wrote a complete commentary on Tirukkural, one of the masterpieces in Tamil by Thiruvalluvar. He wrote his autobiography. He translated some foreign books into Tamil. He wrote 2 big volumes on Tamil grammar, Meyyarivu and Meyyaram. So on 18th November 1936, V.O. Chidambaram Pillai left this world. He had only 2 last wishes for himself. One was for his wife to sing a famous composition of Subramanya Bharati. என்று தனியும் எங்கள் சுதந்திர தாகம் என்று மடியும் எங்கள் அடிமையின் மோகம் என்று தனியும் எங்கள் சுதந்திர தாகம் when will the thirst for freedom be quenched என்று மடியும் எங்கள் அடிமையின் மோகம் when will the attraction moha towards slavery be destroyed. His wife sang, and the other wish was for him to die in the Congress office in Tuticorin. The family members took him there, and in the Indian National Congress office in Tuticorin, he passed away peacefully. So my dear friends, and also the family members, they state that till his last breath, he was only talking about Bharat Mata and her freedom. My dear friends, there are so many unsung heroes like V.O. Chidambaram Pillai who have sacrificed so much for the freedom that we are enjoying today. So what is our duty? What are our responsibilities? So our duty is to remember them and understand their life history at least on their birthdays and spread the message. As far as our responsibilities, let us appreciate the freedom that we have in hand. Let us protect this great Desha Bharata, and let us preserve this rich culture and heritage. So we should sing the praise of these unsung heroes so much so that there is no hero who is unsung, and there should not be any category called unsung. So I encourage you to listen to all the stories this month and learn a lot about our freedom fighters. That is the true homage to them. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ವಂದೇ ಮಾತರಂ.